Bayside has some, we've taken down 2 buildings recently, and we're going to take down another 3 buildings. And we're going to make a right turn here.
More people living in those buildings.
Okay, so there's some reports coming out. For those of you that are interested in our reports, we have some reports coming out on, we did surveys on for looking for radiation in the yards and in the backyards. And we also have a report coming out. We did in-house radiological surveys this year. And we want to thank the community for that. They were super cooperative, and things went about as smoothly as you could ever imagine. And we have a report coming out on that as well. And then we have another report where we did intense soil sampling in another part of the neighborhood that I will show you a little bit later. Yeah. So we want to go on to this side. This is good because it's got a lot of active work here.
Yeah.
Now, I get some phone calls from residents on this all the time. There's some pros and cons to this. When the Navy takes down a building, it changes the wind pattern, but also conceivably changes your view. Normally for the positive. But keep in mind, ultimately, all of these residences will be demoed, right? When the city owns the island, this portion of the island, this will all be redeveloped. The portion that we're in now is going to be wetlands and what they call wildlands. It's going to be a green belt of natural grasses and native vegetation. And where we are right now is going to be open green space on the island. Okay, so this is a great view. First of all, look, you can see how we've taken off some of the siding of the building to the right here. We do that because some of the housing providers have requested that we recycle some of the siding, so we give it to them as part of our program before we take down that building. We will, the first week of December, we will be taking down that building if we stay on schedule. That's building 1213. The first week of December, we'll be taking down that building if we stay on schedule and weather permitting. Okay, and then also at the other end of this, you'll see those another building, 1207, that we'll be taking down. Okay, so you can see here, Darius, if you could just crawl up another few feet, yeah, a little more here. You can see these are the foundations. This is all that's remaining of some buildings we've taken down. So the next step is you scan that foundation, and because all of the neighborhood has to be investigated for residual radioactivity, it all by the rules has to be scanned, whether we think there's any or not. We have to scan this foundation, then break it up, and then cart it off. And then what we will do, there's solid waste below this, below the surface that we can't see, and we have to dig up the remaining solid waste that's there. We couldn't get to it under the foundation while the building existed, and that's why we're taking down the building. And that's a common myth about when you see a building taken down. I can promise you that when the Navy demolishes a building, which is an expensive effort, right? We only do it because the data drives it and good science drives it, and we have to do it. And regulators also say we have to do it, so we don't have a choice. Very expensive undertaking. So what that means when you see a building come down is the Navy has, and the regulators have reason to believe there's contaminants that are under that foundation, that the contamination doesn't just stop at the edge of the foundation. And so the Navy has to go after it. And that's what we're doing. And that is the case in these 2 buildings here. Okay, Darius.
Why have the radiation signs been removed?
They haven't.
Are these backward yellow triangles radiation signs?
Yeah, they're still here. There's one right back there, and there's one right here. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so just stop right. Yeah, go up to this. Okay, so 1207 here. Keep going, Darius. Thank you. Okay, so this building is coming down first week of December. Okay? you can see the limits of the house. Can you see the limits of the fencing there? Okay, so you know that's the limits. Actually, there's a little buffer zone, but that's the limits of the solid waste disposal area that we will have to dig up. Okay.
How do you know?
Yeah, I didn't mean for you to stop there. Sorry. You got a tight curve here.
That's right, this is the burn pit. We just rode through a burn pit and he's not talking about it. This is where pieces of radioactive material were found in front of Catherine's house.
Here?
Right here,
Okay.
right down there.
Pardon?
That's Catherine's house.
Yeah, we're headed that way. Okay. Darius has got to negotiate.
2 units in, right there.
Okay, now we're going to go to another solid waste disposal area. Thinking in the future we should put the solid waste disposal areas on the map. Don't you think that would be better if I showed you the outlines of solid waste disposal areas? Those should be on the map too.
And the burn pits that you keep talking about, because there was
Okay.
one back there on Bayside that you missed.
All right,
We
so
drove through it.
We're headed towards the solid waste disposal area at Westside. Okay. Now, there's something interesting about the solid waste disposal at Westside. First of all, it's the largest solid waste disposal area. We're headed there. We're not quite there yet, but I want to tell you about it because it's part of it is at the foot of the old runway that was built here. So the initial thinking was that there was going to be multiple runways on Treasure Island, and it was essentially going to be SFO. Well, for a variety of reasons, it never worked out that way. But they used the end of the runway, in this case, Westside solid waste disposal area, as I know it now, as a dumping area at the end of the runway. We know this. There aren't really records of it, but there are references to it. And lo and behold, this is where we found most of the stuff of concern in this area. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is the area we're working on. This is West Side solid waste disposal area, and you'll see some off in the distance. There are some places where we still have dug deep holes. There's some foundations here, and you can see in the process that we've broken up one of the foundations there. And you can see the big chunks of concrete. Now this area is of particular note because we found the majority of the radiological objects that are in solid waste disposal areas are right here in this area. So this was the major, something around 80% of all the rad objects we found are right in this area. And this was at the end of the runway. Okay? So again, this is a big project that we're going to work on we'll be in the field here in about February, March of 2015. Now, you could ask the Navy, have you found all the radiological objects yet? Well, there's no way for me to know that. That's part of the reason why we're going back out. To remove the rest of the solid waste, but also we have to confirm that we've gotten all the radiological objects. Perhaps there's still some there, and if they are, they're going to be properly handled. And
Is that person supposed to be over there? Isn't that a cordoned off area where people aren't supposed to be?
okay.
Yeah. Or is that part of the open? That's the perimeter?
Okay. All right.
Asking about a crew
Okay.
running over there.
The fishermen, they're out there every day.
Yeah. All right. So Patricia knows that. Thanks. Now this is one of the things you ask questions. This probably happens not just when we're on a bus here, right? There's people. If you see people in areas they shouldn't be, then you can always call McCoy's Patrol Service here, the number, or you can call Patricia McFadden.
Couldn't hear that. Is he in an area he should not be in? Couldn't hear you.
Okay.
No,
So
it's okay.
let's
He's
talk
okay?
a little bit about what this area is going to be.
Beyond the fence.
You're at the
That's
point,
what they're saying.
I believe, Bob,
I
where
don't
the
know, he's okay
development
with
was just about beginning.
That's the big side.
He's beyond the fence.
Okay. So this